Hello students, welcome back to Nandini ma'am's English and social classes. In the last video, we have seen in the French Revolution, the first part of the French Revolution, we have dealt with the storming of Bastille and the social, political and economic causes of the French Revolution and with subsistence crisis. So the second part of the French Revolution starts now. So now in this video we are going to cover the contribution of the philosophers towards the revolution. Then we will see what are the fall of Bastille, the National Assembly and the Constitution of 1791. So let's start. Okay, now in this video we will see the contribution of the philosophers towards the revolution. And these philosophers, the writing of the philosophers have prepared the common man of France for the revolution. Okay, so who are those philosophers we will see now, and what are their contribution, and we will see the writings of the philosophers and how the ideas of the philosophers spread all over France. Not only in France but in other parts of Europe as well. So let's see what the philosophers have to say about the revolution. Okay.
तो मेरे देशवासियों, चैन से सोना है तो जाग जाओ, अभी सोने का वक्त नहीं है।
हाँ, बिल्कुल ठीक बोला मोंटेस ब्रो। अभी अपने को इस राजा का कुछ करना पड़ेगा। ऐसा तानाशाही और नहीं चलेगी। क्या बोलते हो वोल्टेयर भाई?
हाँ बिल्कुल। अभी सबको एकजुट होना होगा और इस भ्रष्ट साम्राज्य को हटाकर गणतंत्रता के लिए प्रयास करना होगा।
अबे बोले तो इस लुई 16 का कुछ करना पड़ेगा रे।
लुई को हटाना होगा, बिल्कुल हटाना होगा।
मतलब बोले तो रहेगा, लेकिन पावर में नहीं, सिर्फ टावर में।
So now we see the writings of Montesquieu. Montesquieu wrote a book in the Spirits of Law. Montesquieu, proposed a government where there is a division of power between the legislative, executive and judiciary. Okay, and these ideas have also been taken from the American Constitution when the 13 colonies of America became independent from the British rule. They also had a government where there is a distribution of power between the legislative, executive and judiciary. Now Voltaire led a crusade against the existing belief, the superstitious belief of the church, and he wrote quite a number of theses, books on the superstitious belief. Okay, and the people of France got influenced. Then you see the writing of Jean-Jacques Rousseau. Jean-Jacques Rousseau wrote a book, The Social Contract. And this book, The Social Contract, can be considered as the Bible of the French Revolution. He said that the real sovereignty must rest with the people and not with the king. He proposed that, the voting should be like that, one person should have one vote. Okay, that is a democratic principle. But this idea of Rousseau spread all over France. We can consider here another philosopher, that is John Locke, wrote in his book, The True Treatise of Government. He said that he refuted the divine and absolute right of the king. He said the king should not be divine. In fact, the government should be a contract between the people and the rulers. Now, the ideas of these philosophers spread, Now there is another question here arises. Then when we knew that the majority of the people of the third estate were illiterate, then how did the people read the writings of these philosophers? At that time, in France, there arose a middle class people. Now, who are the middle class people? The middle class people were those people from the third estate, who had gained wealth through overseas trade, through exports, through textile business, and they got the benefit of education. And therefore, they read the writings of these philosophers and got enlightened. And these writings of the philosophers were discussed in the coffee houses, in salons, among the masses. Those who were educated, they read it aloud. And obviously, all the common people of France got influenced. And therefore, they were already prepared for the revolution. Revolution के लिए पहले से लोग तैयार हो गया. So, we come to the next topic, that is the meeting of the Estate General, which is the outbreak of the revolution. कोई भी revolution का एक outbreak होता है. मतलब सबको तो था कि हर भाई revolt करेंगे, but कारण तो कुछ चाहिए. So, what was the exact reason of the revolution? The reason was the meeting of the Estate General. The king was desperate, very, very desperate to increase taxes, and therefore he called a meeting of the Estate General. Okay? And what is the Estate General? The Estate General is a political body to which all the estates send their representatives. So here the first estate sent 300 representatives, the second estate 300, and the third estate 600 representatives. Why 600? Because they're the majority of the population were the third estate people. So as usual, in the meeting, the first two estates sat, whereas the third estate were not allowed to sit. They have to stand at the back. And everybody was not given entry. The peasants, the artisans, the servants, they were all denied entry to the estate general. Only the administrative officials from the third estate, lawyers, businessmen, they were allowed to enter the estate. Now, as usual, according to the, rule, the traditional rule that went on, the king ordered the voting. And the system was that one estate should have one vote. To this, the third estate objected. The third estate told that one estate should not have one vote. It is one person, one vote. Because they've already read the writings of Rousseau. So to which the first two estates objected, and there was a deadlock. There was a deadlock because the king and the other two estates did not allow this voting. So the people of the third estate walked out of the
बाय बाय
estate
टाटा
general.
गुड बाय गया
And they met at a hall in the tennis court at Versailles. So this is very, very significant, children, for your lesson, because you will be given to write what is the significance of the tennis court. Okay? So the people of the third estate assembled at the tennis court, and they have taken an oath not to disperse till they have written a constitution for France. Because now they want a constitution, not the absolute monarchy. And they call themselves as National Assembly. Now here you see what Monnier had to say about this tennis court oath.
तुम मेरे प्यारे भाइयों और बहनों, अभी किसी को और जन्मसिद्ध अधिकार नहीं मिलेगा। व्यक्ति का समाज में परिचय उसका केवल कर्म से होगा, ना कि जन्म से।
Now you see the people of France were helped by Mirabeau and Abysses, though they do not belong to the third estate. Mirabeau belonged to nobility, and Abysses was a priest who wrote a very influential pamphlet, What is the Third Estate? And Mirabeau delivered lectures and directed the people towards the revolution. So the contribution of Mirabeau and Abysses is also very, very important in the drafting of the Constitution of France. So on the night of 4th August 1789, the people of France, drafted a constitution for France. And what did the constitution do? The constitution reduced the power of the king. The king was a king only in name. Only in name. Yes? All his powers has been taken away from him. Though the king did not want to accept the constitution, he wanted to suppress it, but he had no other way. So he accepted the constitution. So now his powers have been guided by the constitution. So peasants rose against him, the king and the nobles, and then the serfdom were abolished, feudalism was abolished, and then tithes, the tax extracted by the church, were also abolished. And the property of the church was confiscated. So this decree was passed by the Constitution of 1791. Now we will see the Constitution of 1791. So the Constitution of 1791 declared France to be a constitutional monarchy. Okay, king will be there, but he will be guided by the constitution. The power of the constitution or the work of the constitution have been, assigned to three organs. That is the legislative, executive and judiciary. We see here the Constitution of France of 1791. Now what is the provision of this is that the Constitution of 1791 divided the citizens into active and passive. Now we see who were the active citizens over here. and who were the passive citizens. Now, active citizens were those citizens who were male, above 25 years of age, and who pay taxes equal to 3 days of a laborer's wage. Okay? Now, who were the passive citizens? All women and children were obviously passive citizens, and even men above 25 who do not pay taxes. Okay? So, this is the division of the citizens over there. They do not have universal adult franchise. Only person of property should vote according to this Constitution of 1791. Okay? So, France at that time had 28 million people. Out of this, 4 million were active citizens. And you know, they elected 50,000 electors. Now you can see who are those electors? Those who are in the highest brackets of taxes. And out of this 50,000, 745 people were elected, those who were in the National Assembly. And who are the 745 people? Those who were in the highest brackets of taxes. Now these members will control the ministers and the king. You know, and the king had a veto power over the assembly, whether to say yes or no to a decision. So now, the veto power of the king. The king had used his veto power in quite a number of instances. For example, there is an instance where the king vetoed a reform, where the clergy must take a civil oath, or he will be deprived of his pension, or will have to possibly face an exile. So he vetoed that, that Reform Act. So this, action of the king angered the representatives of the assembly, and there was a trouble because the king vetoed this Reform Act of the clergy. So now we see this group of people also directly elected the judges. Okay, the Constitution began with the Declaration of Rights of Man and Citizens. Then right to life, right to opinion, right to equality before law, all those expressions, democratic rights, all those rights which were unknown, before the French Revolution, was established as natural rights. That is, these rights cannot be taken away from the people. These rights cannot be taken away from the people. So, though this constitution was very much appreciated, but this constitution belonged to the propertied person. Because you can see here, the non-propertied people were not given any right to vote. So, this constitution of 1791 belonged to propertied people. Actually, those who elected and those who were electors were all among the taxpayers. Okay? So, the Constitution of 1791, established France as a constitutional monarchy. अभी किंग तो है ही, लेकिन किंग का पावर जो है curtailed है by the Constitution. I mean, king cannot do now what he wants. Though the king was not very happy about it, but this Constitution has reduced his power. Okay? So students, from this part, the probable, the important questions that usually comes, starting from the philosophers. So the question that is very, very important here is, what is the contribution of philosophers towards the French Revolution? Often it can be of 3 marks or 5 marks. You have to write it in points. Next, you may get a question, what is, short answer, what is the States General? How did the outbreak take place. The most important question is, what is the significance of the tennis court oath? The significance of tennis court oath. Okay? So after that, you may have a question. The most important question I can say is, what are the features of the Constitution of 1791? It can be of 5 marks. So you have to write it in points, that what are the features. Okay, so these are the probable question. Students, if you find my video helpful, please do not forget to like, subscribe, and please share it among your friends so that they can also be benefited by it. Thank you.